Hello everybody, my name is TheTfboy and welcome back to a little tips and tricks video on Conduit this time. First thing I noticed is that my relics count has gone down from over 10,000. Maybe it's because I bought somebody. Spoiler alert, it's on the Autobot site. Anyway, so I'll look at him in a bit. So this is Conduit. He's probably the best medic in the game. I do consider him better over Meltdown simply because his healing is quite effective. No, that was poorly worded. How do I say this? Like, he's a more effective healer because he's mobile, I should say. Just between like his shotgun's repair over time as well as his ability to remove trauma debuffs. One thing about his repairing over time is that you can stack as many of them as you want onto any con. So it doesn't refresh on the previous one that you had, it only adds a new one on top of that, which I find pretty effective. And just in terms of repair, I just tend to alternate weapons and save the S-Tech for it. Try to get it up to level 2 the first time, and then keep it up at level 1 if my ally's shield has gone down. That seems to be the most effective for me anyway. But yeah, repair over time if they're just taking a lot of damage, and use this if either they have a trauma debuff or I need some healing as well, considering that this will heal myself, which I find pretty useful. The equipment's pretty self-explanatory. This one, I actually quite underestimate this, because if you have this debuff active, it applies not just whenever you die, but whenever you kill someone else. So just keep that in mind. I believe that this increases with Omni damage, but as you can see, I don't have any. So I couldn't tell you that. His subsystem is actually quite useful, especially on a flat line. Because if you're constantly repairing one of them, you can just gain a 30% speed boost and just come charging in with this hammer. Like, it's ridiculous. This is a pretty good reduction of. This is also a pretty good effective in terms of giving allies a speed boost, as well as giving Conduit some defensive things. And that's another thing too, because for Meltdown, gives a 75% reduction, but it's only when he's replying. But it's only whenever he's actually firing one of his weapons. For Conduit, this is stays active the entire duration, and it actually gives a reduction to allies. Yeah. The only I suppose, since we're comparing Conduit to Meltdown, the only disadvantage I have to say is that Meltdown can hold his own in a fight. Conduit cannot. And thus, I highly recommend Conduit if you have at least one tank. If you just have a purely DPS team of like, let's say like Firebreaker, Diablo, Pandemic, Drive-By, Duststorm, and then Pandemic, you're screwed. That's not gonna help you at all. You need a tank, someone who can take a lot of damage, Flatline, Shell Shock, Mismatch, Rampart, etc. Or really any of the founders. Maybe Dead Heat. I don't know about Dead Heat personally. I haven't played him, so I don't know how tanky he is. He does a lot of damage, but that's the point. Tuning, you can obviously see all repairing, and then the rest into resistance. Pretty self-explanatory. That's all I need him to be. And yeah, that's just more effective overall. Power cores, I have receiving a repair reduces equipment cooldowns by 20.24 seconds. This is actually pretty useful for a spark duplicator, considering that the only other equipment reduction is if you kill an enemy, and you're not going to be killing anybody with Conduit, or at least you shouldn't be. Otherwise, you're playing them wrong. But it definitely helps for the spark duplicator, because I believe it has like 10 ticks in terms of health. How much health it gives you? Like, it doesn't matter how much health it gives you, it's just that it gives you health in 10 increments whenever you activate the equipment. So that already reduces it by let's just say this is 0.2. Let's just say this is 0.25. So that'd be So that'd be 2.5 seconds. So cooldown is 35. Now you have to wait 32.5. It's probably like 32.6 or so. I don't know. That's besides the point. But yeah, power core is also quite helpful if you have a flat line that's healing you whenever you're taking a lot of damage. It also works in the effect of using the prosthetic patch. And yeah, that's why I have this power core active, and also it helps reduce the equipment cooldowns for these two. This one reduces incoming damage by 25% when immobilized, knocked down, or stunned. Pretty self-explanatory. The last thing you want is you to be focused on while you are and become immobilized, knocked down, or stunned. That's just one of the worst. But this power core is quite helpful, especially like if for example, my strategy was showdown, and I've seen people try to use this quite a bit. If I have the surge cannon and I knock someone down, let's say, or I knock Conduit down, and then I go in with my hammer and activate my equipment 4 and try to get as many hits as I can, this power core and this equipment can make that go in the single digits, from what I've noticed, which is pretty nice in terms of survivability. Just because this equipment lasts about as long as Showdown's hammer thing does, so it definitely helps against that. And then this last one is receives a critical hit, deals 18% of the damage back at the attacker as omni damage. Which again is pretty useful if you're being focused on, because then some of that damage can get redirected there, especially if anyone has some tuning points in focus. So that counters that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about them. Let's go test them out and see if there are some allies or Viacons that need some help. Looks like they just got done with a mission. Oh yeah, I forgot to share his vehicle mode equipment. Now, hang on. Now, one thing to notice is that,
why did we cart these useless vehicles across the galaxy?
Seriously, Brawl? Alright. One thing to notice is that, if anyone who's played Conduit before, in the early stages of the beta, Conduit's vehicle mode equipment was that he could become immune for a short duration. And that helped a lot in his survivability, but the devs thought that was a bit overpowering, and I don't blame them, because I used to dance around Conduit all the time, just like run from one side of the map, switch between immunity and self-healing, and just keep going back and forth. Now you have a virus, which if the vehicle one hits a target, it reduces repairs by 40% for them, which I have to admit is tricky to pull off. But if you can do that, that'll definitely help you in terms of finishing off bots that are being healed by a meltdown or a tri-age. So yes, the heck? Oh. That's that weird bug I mentioned earlier. For some reason, whenever you kill a turret now in the High Ground or Central City, the noise is still there of them shooting. I guess I should be helping these Viacons, considering that... Okay. Considering that I am Conduit. And then I should probably be healing them. Yeah, I'm coming, buddy. Here we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah. But like I said, Conduit is most effective. Hello. I don't need repair. Well, thank you. Conduit's most effective in terms of a healing weapon just by alternating the two, and then using the S-Tech on at level 2 on whichever one works the most.
Decepticons, make the ground shake.
Alright. I don't think that's going to be any problem. But just in case, I'm going to go to, like, let's say this ally. And just help him heal if he's becoming damaged. Or you can just sit there, that's fine too.
There is an enemy device nearby.
Yeah. I guess we might as well. I would have thought that auto troopers would have spawned for this point. Oh well. Thank you. I suppose this isn't really how I'm supposed to be using Conduit.
Technology nearby.
Yeah, I suppose this isn't really how I'm supposed to be using Conduit, because he's not that offensive, but there's no one around for me to heal. So, I guess that pretty much wraps up that. So yeah, Conduit is a very effective healer, and his repair over time can be quite annoying to deal with. So as the con, when you're playing as him, you need to avoid being focused. Well, when you're fighting against a team that has him, a good team, I should say, focus him, because he will repair your allies insanely. Like, it's ridiculous, and he's got great stealth repairs too, especially with this. And there's and you have all of his teammates around me. That just gives him 150% increase in damage in repairing. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about Conduit. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. End stream.